Welcome back to New World Next Week. I'm James Corbett of CorbettReport.com.
And I'm James Evan Pilato of MediaMonarchy.com. It's a little strange that these people just keep disappearing. We have got that story, plus UK bans controversial Negro. But first, Anthropic. All your 0 days are belong to Mythos from those mad scientists at theregister.com. For years, the information security community's biggest existential worry has been quantum computing blowing everybody else out of the water, all the classical encryption, and revealing all the world's secrets. Now they've got a new big bad, an AI model that can generate 0-day vulnerabilities. Anthropic made the model and named it Mythos. Thankfully, the AI company decided not to release it because it would break the internet, and not in a good way. AI models have reached a level of coding capability where they can surpass all but the most skilled humans at finding and exploiting software vulnerabilities, your 0-day exploits. What Anthropic is describing is literally a 0-day engine. Engineers at Anthropic with no formal security training have asked Mythos Preview to find remote code execution vulnerabilities overnight and woken up the following morning to a complete working exploit. Fortunately, instead of releasing Mythos, Anthropic chose to provide a preview version to a set of industry partners and players so they can use it to find flaws in their systems before adversaries, black hats, do. The AI biz calls its limited release initiative Project Glasswing, one word. Participants include all the worst, you can name them. Amazon Web Services, Anthropic, of course, Apple, Broadcom, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Google, JP Morgan Chase, the Linux Foundation, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Palo Alto Networks. That doesn't mean that they can control what is open source, sidebar. And while this tech industry anti-rogues gallery scans their own systems with the purportedly perspicacious Mythos, Anthropic invited around 40 other organizations to participate in this introspective bug hunt, subsidized by up to $100 million in usage credits for Mythos Preview and $4 million in direct donations to open source security organizations. Maybe I'm already wrong. If that sounds like a bit like an arsonist handing out fire extinguishers, well, that's on you for being so cynical. Anthropic co-founder confirms company briefed the Trump administration on Mythos. That is from TechCrunch. Damn that Brandon for censoring our Coof posts. Love that orange man for working with him for the good. That one's from TechCrunch and a couple other related federal agencies. Skirt Trump's Anthropic ban to test its advanced AI model. You try and do that, regular suckers. Flirt all the laws and go against everything you've flapped your gums about for a decade. And we will just link straight to anthropic.com/glasswing. James, do you think they'll link back to us?
Oh, one can only hope. Here is the rub of this story. So feel free for people in the audience who are skeptical of AI and all sorts and whatever's being touted. Sure, be skeptical, because how can we know what Anthropic's Mythos can and cannot do? Maybe this is all just some PR to bump up Anthropic's stock charts or help their fortunes after having been banned by the U.S. military, right? But at the very least, there is a sort of underlying kernel of truth to this story, no matter what you believe about AI and its ability to bug hunt things that human beings can't, etc. And that's that whatever the case is or isn't, I won't say we'll never know, but we'll only know when we need to know, when whatever is revealed to us. Because I think the deeper underlying truth of this is that whatever it is, quantum computing or, the general AI or whatever is coming down the line, we'll be the last to know about it. And we'll only know about it when it's being used as a weapon against us by the intelligence agencies and the deep state that always has its first finger in every pie, technologically speaking. So that's the real story. Project Glasswing is in and of itself fascinating because, of course, it is Anthropic openly saying, yes, this is a conspiracy. We are conspiring with all these people that we're letting into the secret club to come and take a look at these exploits so that they can fix them, of course, right? And they'll all be patched so that, when this gets in the hands of the bad actors, they won't be able to use it against us. Something along those lines. But yes, as they say, they're already, of course, they are briefing the Pentagon. They're talking to intelligence agencies. Of course. I mean, we know that the internet and all of these big tech companies are fronts for the intelligence agencies in the first place. So it is no surprise that they will be the first in line of any development like this. And I think that's the underlying truth of a story like this one.
I think it's good that is it JP Morgan Chase that was listed off? Yes. That they're still in there because it shows sort of the respect for the old school of the old boys at Wall Street who used to essentially run the New World Order. Again, they've slightly shifted and pivoted over to the tech old boys. So as we enter the month of April and all those data centers are drinking up all our April showers, that is how we get going on New World Next Week, episode 626. Really interesting story here for our second one. I'm glad you guys brought this up. I have been following this a little bit on my Morning Monarchy, and we've talked about missing Chinese CRISPR scientists on New World Next Week before, but now missing nuclear official becomes one of the 10th person tied to a dark pattern surrounding U.S. secrets. Grabbing this from Daily Mail, Stephen Garcia, 48, vanished without a trace on August 28th, 2025. He was last seen leaving his Albuquerque, New Mexico home on foot, carrying only a handgun. Of course, New Mexico figures into this. An anonymous source told the Daily Mail that Garcia was a government contractor working for the confusingly titled Kansas City National Security Campus, KCNSC, a major facility in, that's right, Albuquerque, that plays a key behind-the-scenes role in America's national defense. Specifically, KCNSC manufactures more than 80% of all the non-nuclear components that go into building the military's nuclear weapons. Garcia allegedly served as a property custodian at KCNSC's New Mexico facility, giving him top-tier security clearance and broad access to the entire site's nuclear secrets. The government contractor's sudden disappearance marks the 10th person with ties to America's space or nuclear secrets who has died or mysteriously vanished in recent years, putting U.S. national security experts on edge. Moreover, 4 of these officials had vanished without a trace in almost the same manner as Garcia, and all had a connection to U.S. nuclear secrets or rocket technology. According to police in Albuquerque, Garcia was last spotted, of course, constant surveillance everywhere. It can't actually help find you or Nancy Guthrie, but it's constant and pervasive. Garcia was last spotted on surveillance cameras walking out of his home on Cattail Court Southwest in a green camouflage shirt and shorts just after 9 a.m. local time. He was seen carrying a handgun, and authorities warned that Garcia may be a danger to himself. James, maybe he got his marching orders voice to skull style. Why don't you pass the time by playing a little solitaire? That's the phrase that pays in the Manchurian Candidate documentary. However, the anonymous source disputed any suggestions that the nuclear official may have been suicidal or was battling mental health issues. He was a very stable person, they always say about the most stable people, adding that the possibility of Garcia being targeted by foreign spies makes the most sense. America's greatest ally could not be reached for comment. Former FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker previously told the Daily Mail, "Our scientists have been targeted for a long time, especially in the Jack Parsons rocket propulsion area, by hostile foreign intelligence services." Days after Garcia's disappearance, KCNSC reportedly launched a desperate search for the missing contractor, including going through all of his stuff, work computers, emails, files for any clues to his whereabouts, but they claim nothing has been found. It's a little strange that these people keep disappearing. I mean, he literally just walked off into the desert with a firearm and a bottle of water, and that was it, the source said, comparing it to the disappearance of Air Force General William Neal McCasland. And I've been following this on the Morning Monarchy. March 26th, rocket scientist, Air Force General, linked to UFOs vanish under strange, similar circumstances 5 months apart. And we will include one broad overview. Who are the U.S. scientists linked to NASA and military research vanished or died under unexplained circumstances? James, it doesn't really hit me sometimes that back in Portland, I was like, hell no, we won't use straws. But in New Mexico, it's like alien angels ate your president's Jesus meme. This place is wild down here, man.
And there's a historical reason for that, which I'll get into in a moment. But first, James, you've been doing this 21 years. I've been doing this 19 years. This is not our first rodeo. We have seen these types of mysterious patterns developing before, and I will cast people's minds back to the early 2000s with the missing microbiologists that were all the craze at that time. I know you talked about it on Media Monarchy. I talked about it on the Corbett Report. I'll throw a link in the show notes into episode 60 of the Corbett Report podcast back from 2008 on bioterror false flag, where I talked about that phenomenon and what it may or may not portend for a bioterror false flag that may or may not have eventuated in the past 5 years. Anyway, or how about the bankster suicides? Remember that in the wake of the global financial crisis, a couple of years later, we started to have this rash of banksters throwing themselves off of buildings and otherwise dying in sometimes mysterious circumstances. And there was a lot of speculation about that. So unfortunately, if there's anything that we can learn from these exercises in pattern recognition, it is that if there is some actual answer to this puzzle, if there really is a coordinated phenomenon that's happening here, again, we will be the last to know about it. What happened with those missing microbiologists? What happened with the bankster suicides? On to the next pattern. Now it's this. Okay, well, again, we're unlikely to find any definitive answer to this, at least at our level of the information pyramid. But if we were to make some informed speculation about it, which is all we can do, it certainly seems that we're being led along a certain direction, pointing out nuclear scientists and rocket scientists. I don't know. It sounds like we might be being prepped for oh my God, it's the Iranians. Of course, they're getting back for their nuclear program with our nuclear program. And you saw what they did. I mean, that would be an obvious false flag to run with information like this. But I know people are not tuning into New World Next Week for rational, level-headed, informed speculation. They want conspiratainment. So I will give you the conspiratainment you sneak straight into your veins with an article called The UFO Question and the Missing Physicists. It's up on UNS right now, and it is an in-depth, very long, very interesting, detailed article with lots and lots and lots and lots of facts in there. So I will let you explore that as you will in your own time. But I will just point out this, speaking specifically about the New Mexico connection, in this gigantic article that puts Epstein in with all of these characters and physicists, etc. It notes that asked why he, Epstein, had acquired Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, he was unambiguous. Los Alamos National Laboratory had been downsizing after the Cold War, laying off its nuclear weapons physicists and what he called the high priests of high energy physics, and he wanted to be close to them. So that's one piece of this gigantic puzzle, and it does seem to relate to some of the strangeness that takes place in New Mexico, specifically around classified high energy physics experiments, etc. And again, this could play into a whole other false flag, one that we were talking about just a few weeks ago about the Disclosure Day is coming. And Disclosure Day actually just came and went. What happened? Oh, Pentagon update as the UFO deadline passes. How convenient. As in, oops, the letter that we were supposed to forward to whatever in order to get these files disclosed that Trump said he's going to release. Oh, that somehow didn't get passed on, so nothing has been released yet. But we're working on it, guys. We'll get it for you. Don't worry. We're digging up those UFO secrets. So I don't know. Could it be some sort of alien psyop false flag that might be the end of this rainbow? Stay tuned to find out. Get your conspiratainment popcorn ready, guys.
Well, and that's, the original main piece that I read for this segment didn't say anything about ufology or aliens. But as soon as you start to get off of the reservation, if you will, you'll find it is right there. The motherships are all hovering right overhead, James. And I would say now these past couple of weeks with Artemis, dude, space is cool again. Who cares if it's Trump and space farce? Who cares if it's a bunch of my taxpayer money used? I thought Elon was going to do all this stuff. No, they're back to stealing all the taxpayer money. So with Artemis making space cool again, of course, all the space is fake experts have come back out of the woodwork. Me, I still have all my World War III decorations up. Now there was, as it is, a rich tapestry, a giant concert festival over last weekend that takes place every year on Cabazon Native American burial grounds that are connected to bioweapons research and the Epstein-Maxwell world. That is the octopus, my friends. I do have a radio play about that. I'll tell you more at the end of this episode. But as long as we are talking about concerts, holy moly. UK Wireless Festival canceled after Kanye West banned from entering the country. This from The Guardian. The Wireless Music Festival has been canceled after the artist, formerly known as Kanye West, was banned from entering the UK amid a deepening political row over his previous anti-Semitic statements. West, legally known as Ye, was due to headline all 3 days of the festival in July and made an application to travel to the UK via what they call an electronic travel authorization, ETA, but this was blocked by officials. A spokesperson for the London Festival confirmed they're just going to cancel the whole thing. It will not go ahead in July, and said refunds would be issued to customers who had already bought tickets. The statement issued on Tuesday said the Home Office has withdrawn Ye's ETA, denying him entry into the United Kingdom. As a result, Wireless Festival is canceled and refunds will be issued to all ticket holders. As with every wireless festival, multiple stakeholders were consulted in advance of booking Ye, and no concerns were highlighted at the time. Anti-Semitism in all its forms is abhorrent, and we recognize the real and personal impact these issues have had. As Ye has said, he acknowledges that words alone are not enough, and that in spite of all this, he hopes to be given the opportunity to begin a conversation with the Jewish community in the UK. It is understood that the application was initially granted online, but was rescinded by Home Office ministers, that is, the government, after review on the grounds that his presence in the UK would not be conducive to the public good. The rapper has been criticized for making anti-Semitic remarks, including Ninja How Hitler, a few months after selling swastika t-shirts for sale on his website. Over the weekend, Keir Starmer joined criticism of the festival, saying it was deeply concerning that Ye had been booked to perform despite his previous anti-Semitic remarks in celebration of Nazism, which isn't capitalized. The decision to ban Ye left the wireless... It is so funny, again, what mainstream liberal journalism is like, we're going to capitalize this now, and we're not going to capitalize that. We'll show you. The decision to ban Ye left the wireless organizers with 3 headline slots to fill with 3 months' notice. The ban came on the day that pre-sales began for the summer's events, which were already competing in a busy field of London Day festivals because they don't make money selling records. The organizers' approach of using one A-list name to headline 3 back-to-back days meant options for a new artist were limited. They've apparently done this before successfully. They had Drake headline 3 nights in a row, and no concerns were highlighted at the time. This was all well after all of his nutty Yahoo-ness of the last few years. They knew all of that was going on. It almost seems to me like sometimes money might be more important to them than their alleged moral stances and pearl clutching. It's kind of like they're more into dollar clutching. But as I said to you, James, before we started rolling, getting banned by an entire country is pretty gangster. And it doesn't end. Ye postpones France gig following wireless festival ban, so it kind of looks like his entire UK tour plans are all falling apart. And isn't it funny, James? Isn't it funny? They suddenly care about borders.
Yeah. Very good observation, right? Yeah, but borders matter in this case, don't they? Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. This is where ideology is actually what underlines and tells on people and the actions that they are taking. Because, sure, I understand there are people who are greatly offended by the things that Ye has said in recent times. And sure, I understand that. The question is, what do you do about that? And if we were in a position where we treat people as responsible, individual, sovereign human beings who can make up their own minds and do their own things, then the proper response, if you are offended and outraged and you don't like this person in the music, sure, first of all, you don't go to the festival. Second of all, sure, you protest, you tell other people, you say you shouldn't go to that, whatever, you make your argument. Absolutely. But no. Let's ban this person from international travel. Not because of any specific illegal thing that he is engaged in, but because he is who he is, or he said what he said, right? So the answer then becomes to take this broad act of keeping people safe. And of course, that's the way this is all framed, right? Oh, it's it's to protect you that we're going to ban the movements of this human being. Of course, it's not really about protecting people. What is this really about? The government is not like, oh, think of the poor children. No, the government is using this as one of those test cases that it always does. Let's ban this super controversial figure from every social media platform, and everyone will go along with it because he's a super controversial figure. Let's ban this person from international travel, and people will go along with it because he was a super controversial guy. And guess what? It doesn't end there. That's just the thin edge of the wedge, because that's the precedent by which they will be able to do this to more and more people in the future. Well, you went along with it for Ye, so why don't you go for it with this guy or that guy? And eventually they're banning everyone that they don't like from international travel. So anyway, that's what this is really about. It's not about keeping people safe. But again, if we treat people as responsible adults who can make their own decisions, then absolutely don't support this person. Don't buy their work. Don't go to their festival, etc. And if the market decides, they will die economically. And there you go. Problem solved, right? Oh no, we can't let people make their own decisions. That would be wrong.
Won't someone think of the children we give puberty blockers and MAGA jabs to? So yeah, they're pearl clutching, they're false cries. And I was a lifelong concert goer. I've seen some of the raddest concerts. I've seen Fugazi in DC multiple times. And I've said, though, for decades now on Monarchy, all your concerts belong to them. I think it shows how important it is for them to control it. And James, you might have to move up your visit. So for everyone watching at home, playing along at home, I went to Japan on the 10th anniversary of New World Next Week, and we always said James has to come to America for the 20th anniversary of New World Next Week, but it's looking like he might have to move up his visit. Instead of 2029, you might have to come in 2026 to the Darker Waves Music Festival in Huntington Beach, California. Headliners, Morrissey and Pumpkins. Tickets on sale now. Pay over time with layaway plans. Yep, it says that right there on the page. That's a whole other segment to get my jimmies all rustled. Morning Monarchy, March 6th. Are sky-high concert ticket prices sustainable for the live business? Concerts have gone from regular teenage entertainment to expensive destination events. It's kind of like how Sesame Street was for the poors, but now it's all paywalled. And just a few hours ago, we'll throw in one little bit of the giant... Again, they wouldn't try this hard if they didn't know how important controlling the mindscape of rock and roll is. Live Nation operated as monopoly and overcharged customers jury fines. So they are overcharging you for these giant concert events that control what choice you have about your entertainment dollar. Also, I know the Beatles were created by Tavistock and it's all a psyop. My daily radio stream, however, is not paywalled, and you get to hear the exclusive audio of these New World Next Week episodes before the video. Any of it is published anywhere, and you can hear that at MediaMonarchy.com/listen, and you can get the original Octopus radio play at NewWorldNextWeek.com, performed with all West Virginia crew. The story of Danny Casolaro dying in Martinsburg, West Virginia, as he was on the trail of the octopus, which connects to something that's been in the news a lot these last couple of years. Of course, the Epstein-Ghislaine-Maxwell enterprise. I also have the New Mexico P.O. Box. Hopefully McCaslin didn't steal in my mail, but that is another way you can support our work that keeps us fear-free and ad-free, James. You said, and I appreciate you, man. 21 years nearly of Monarchy, never an advertisement, never shilling some weird product. The work is the product. And if it resonates with you, again, we can only do this with your support.
You know, James, speaking of informed speculative conspiratainment, I think this is proof positive that the intelligence agencies are whispering in the ears of Morrissey and Billy to get them to come to this concert because they knew it would draw us there, and then they could take out the whole concert and destroy the alternative media in one fell swoop. Add that to your conspiratainment bucket. Anyway, we'll see what eventuates. But thank you for the stories. Looking forward to doing it again next week.
As always, my buddy. I appreciate you, man. Thanks.